All right, looks like we are good to go. So let's go ahead and start this up. Do 9 quarters. Let's go. All right, welcome back to Retro Rewind Weekend. Back with some classic games that I grew up with. We got Broken Arrow playing in the background. Colossus, because he's a beast.
In the 21st century, evil mutants led by Magneto aim to destroy the world. Humans can do nothing against the power of the evil mutant. The only hope is X-Men.
You guys have been awesome hanging out with me as we've been talking about X-Men games and Easter.
Go and save the city.
And just sharing some of my memories with the X-Men title. The Sega Genesis back in 1993. As I mentioned in the last few videos that I've kind of been doing here, that my dad picked this up for me for Easter, and it was just like one of those genius move kind of things where it was a game like that I've been begging for weeks, thinking I wouldn't be able to get it. I kept trying to rent it, it was never available. Like I said, I think that's what led to actually saying, let's go ahead and buy this. Buy this game already. Colossus is awesome. This is a game you definitely like, so you want to play with a bunch of friends, but man, if you don't have a bunch of friends, maybe Colossus is yeah, his jump attack is better. Like I feel like Wolverine, his jump attack kind of made you vulnerable. I like his mutant powers, just him changing already. He's already changed. Punch you in the nuts. That's awesome. I guess it could have been a woman. I could have been punching something else. I don't know. 2026 or equal opportunity offenders. Anybody can be a Sentinel or a Nimrod. I think they're called Nimrods. So yes, my dad picked up this X-Men game for me back in '93, and it quickly became not only like one of my favorite like Marvel or X-Men titles, but just one of my favorite video games in general. That was awesome. That was like flawless victory. Yeah, like I said, it became one of my favorite video games instantly, but it also became almost like an instant regret. I remember coming home and finding it that, like I said, that Friday afternoon, spending most of the weekend playing that X-Men game, and getting kind of frustrated as I got towards the end of the weekend and realizing I couldn't get past a certain level. And basically what would happen is you would get to a certain, like second or third level would be fine, and you get past that, and all of a sudden it would be like, you know, Cerebro has been compromised, and you know, the danger room has been compromised, and you have to reset the system. So you're like kind of like walking around the screen, and you don't have a lot. I mean, you got more than this space here, but you can only like walk so far left and so far right.
Get it!
And I'm all over the danger room, like trying to figure out like, you know, where do you go? And the way the game had kind of like worked before that was you had these panels on the wall, and you would stand in front of the panel. There was like, I don't know, a dozen or so little panels, kind of look like that. And you would punch the first one and go to the first stage, and punch the second one and go to the second stage. But after a while, like nothing worked. You just couldn't go anywhere. You just kind of like stuck. You have to like, you know, turn it off, start over. Most often, I would just, you know, say forget it, put something else in, I'll get to that point, try a few things, turn it off. Well, I don't know, a few weeks went by and I remember being at the grocery store, CVS or something, and reading magazines, and in there was a trick for the X-Men game. It actually had like a really decent walkthrough, a lot of the harder levels. Remember Apocalypse, one of the things, big bads, there was a little bit of difficulty getting to him, and it gave you like a really cool walkthrough. I wonder if this is the Broad. But it gave you a really solid walkthrough on how to get, through everything, and then it even told you how to get past that certain point where you had to like reset, the system. And it was, I remember reading it and thinking like, there's no way. There's just no way this is simple. And I'm looking all over the stage for like something you have to hit and like reset, like hitting all the panels and hitting all the things. And realize like nothing's working. Oh, geez, that's not good. And then reading in the magazine, I think somebody sent in, like somebody figured it out. And it was probably the same thing, like they got really tired of playing the game, or like said, well, let me try this again, let me start over. And wrote in and like kind of figured it out. I think it was an actual kid, like some genius kid in Japan, probably. But he did the most simplistic thing, and it was he just reset his Sega Genesis, and in doing so, he reset the system. And so that's what, these little, like I said, you get like a message from whatever the villain, you have to reset the system. So we're sitting there like trying to figure out like how to reset Cerebro, how to reset the Danger Room. And it was like trying to be like, no, how do you reset the system? And it meant your actual Sega system. So I ran home, one, because I was like, I need money for this magazine. It had like this amazing walkthrough. But then two, I had to like see if this,
Colossus
was in fact how you beat, or got to the next part, and sure enough, I went home.
Nothing moves.
Played a few levels, got to that point, and when it came time to reset the system, it had reset on the Sega Genesis, and it lit up like ones and zeros, like
we had been taken by Magneto,
Matrix or something.
However, we had time to locate their base on Island M. Destroy it.
And that's how you got to the next. Oh, it's Island M. I thought it was a Savage. I feel like that went to the moon. I felt like that was like Asteroid M. Was it Island M originally? But yeah, so that's how you got further in the game. You just had to reset your Sega, which is a crazy thing to think of. I remember it. Around the same time I had Spider-Man for the Sega Genesis, and that was one of those things like I couldn't get past the Sandman. I kept winding up in jail. You had to like use the fire hydrant to defeat him, and every time I would do it, I would just wind up in jail. Spider-Man's in jail, game over. And I think it was like 2 years of playing that game before I realized you had to like change the difficulty. I think I've been playing it on easy. And then you can only get so far on medium. I think you have to like beat the game on hard mode or something. But that's just, some of the cool stuff about video games back then was sometimes like the actual system itself would play a part. Like there's no way to like reset your PlayStation. happen. Yep, punch that bug. Colossus is where it's at. I was just saying his name, Colossus. But yeah, that, like I said, that magazine changed everything. And then it wasn't very long after that, like, I was able to actually beat the game. And, I mean, that felt so good. That game almost became, like, God, you gotta understand, like, so, when it came to Sega games, like, this is when I really wanted, like, you know, there weren't many games that I actually asked for. You know, there was, like, I begged for the Sega CD.
Cyclops.
You know, I remember begging for, like, the Sega CD. I remember begging for this game, but there weren't any other games that
Welcome to die.
Or not this game, excuse me, the X-Men game. For the Sega Genesis back in the 90s. Probably like Mortal Kombat. Like that and Mortal Kombat would have been like the two. Oh, I should have kept Colossus. Let's go Colossus here. Usually like a double tap, you can do like a rush move. Yeah, so imagine like getting that game and being like,
go and rescue Kitty from the cave.
Games you ever really wanted, and one of them being like, you feel like, oh man, this might be a regret. And it wasn't, I mean, there wasn't many Sega games like that, you know, like that was something like, you know, I remember it was almost like having like PTSD of like Nintendo games, because those were like the long list of games that I just remember like never being able to beat, never being able to like really figure out, and it started to feel something like that, you know, like you'd rent a Nintendo game, get it home, it'd be cool for like 15 minutes or so, the first few levels, and then it would be like, you know, where do I go? How do I... Oh man, I shouldn't have rented this, and we're kind of stuck with it for the whole weekend, you know? So I remember almost starting to feel kind of like that with the X-Men title, and then as soon as I got that magazine, like seeing some of that stuff and getting some of the walkthroughs, beating the game pretty much, I mean, like I think over a week after school, I was able to get kind of through it, and then like that, you know, that first weekend, that first solid weekend I had, I was able to like, you know, sit and get like all the way through it, you know, by the end of like a Saturday, Sunday night kind of thing. Probably like beating Magneto.
Colossus.
On Asteroid M. And that's like, you know, kind of thinking about this as well when it came to those games. Just that whole era, speaking of magazines and tips and tricks, that was like this really interesting, speaking of Venom and Maximum Carnage and everything, a symbiote relationship with like magazines and video games where you might literally just rent a random title because, whoa, what the heck? It's always bad. Whoa, snap. But yeah, like, so you might just like rent a game just because you have a magazine at home that's got like some tips and tricks on how to cheat it, or you might rent a game because the magazine at home has got some information on it. That doesn't really, like, I guess nowadays it's more like walkthroughs.
Colossus.
Online, stuff like that. I kind of miss the days of, like, strategy guides. Walkthroughs and all that. I didn't have a crush on her. I think they date.
You must rescue the professor!
That's awesome. Unfortunately, I don't recall playing much of this growing up. Actually, the 93 Master System one. Or Genesis title. Whoa, okay. That's where I spent most of my time. And then, like, I don't know if they ever did a home port of this. I don't recall. Like the Avengers Captain America game was a arcade title that got the home ports later. I don't know that this ever did. This would be something you would only play on this like random outings to the arcade.
The White Queen welcomes you to...
This would be one that would be tough to get, like, a spot on a stick with, because, like, there would be so many people crowded around. You would have so many people, you'd have, like, I don't know, you'd have to, like, really be patient, like, with a large group. That would be really the only ways you could really get a spot on this machine. You roll up like 3 or 4 of your friends, or just be lucky enough to get in. I gotta tell you what, this is pretty nice to be able to be 30-some years later on Easter playing X-Men games once again. These backgrounds are pretty awesome. Oh, shit. Okay, cool. I thought I had to fight that thing for a second.
Colossus.
Juggernaut will flatten you.
Dude. Finally somebody's like... Colossus is like at his match. Oh shit. Got your mama.
Colossus.
That was a tough one.
X-Men, nice job. Magneto is over there. Follow me.
I don't know if I should be fighting Magneto.
Aha, you fell into our trap.
Oh, that's true. Trying to move on. It's like no power-ups, no calls. It's like straight up arcade style. Which is great because a lot of times when they do these ports, a lot of times they'll like kind of nerf it. Like I'm sure some of these have like a rewind function, like some of the console ones. But this is great. Oh, what the heck? Rehash the sprites.
Colossus.
Like most video games. Just keep hitting it different. Final boss is at the end. Like, Street Fighter was infamous for that. You fight the main villains. You can like fight them all over again. It's gonna be like
Colossus.
oh, Apocalypse. I think so. Oh, you got me. Take a move, baby. And this is great. You can just like pick this up and probably just kind of run through this.
X-Men. Magneto is planning to attack Earth from his asteroid base. You must foil his plan before it's too late. Go after the giant sentinel.
And I kind of feel like this title alone is worth like the 20, 25 bucks you're going to pay, you know, for a collection. You're going to be kind of hard pressed to find this anywhere else. You get a few other titles along with it. It's definitely the gem of the collection here.
Colossus.
Like asteroid M logo in the background in case you can get where you are. Like Disney branding. Oh my god. Like, I was like a wheelchair, but kind of comical the way he went like flying through the air. Oh snap! All right, well, that looks like it's gonna about do it. These two segments here, which is cool. I like getting back into some retro. Oh, here we go. So you just rehash it at the same time. If I get back to these like these retro. Oh, no way.
Colossus.
That's crazy. You gotta fight both these guys at the same time. Like, it's been awesome getting into these rivals and just kind of hanging out again with you like these weekend game times, doing some retro rewind weekends. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this too. We'll do some more looks at like the Maximum Carnage, and some of the other titles. But I'm just gonna get my butt handed to me by these villains for a little bit here. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share, subscribe. Always tons of arcade action popping off here.
Colossus.
Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Until next time, don't spend that quarter anywhere else. See you later, guys.